the latest episode of The Ugly Truth. Paula and I are talking about what we would do if the Purge was real, and I also recap an overnight trip to the coast with the family and how we stayed in a cursed hotel room. All of this, plus some Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie.
Having a guy fall asleep in between your legs is something you do not get over.
Paula.
Why am I standing here topless?
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to the Ugly Truth. This is episode 483. Ugh.
Oh gosh, you know what? I feel like I can't do it today. You know why?
Why?
I think, okay, I've been through 2 rolls of sweet tarts, like within the last week. And I feel like I have all these sores on my tongue.
You do.
Now.
It's all the citric acid. They are acidic.
Huh? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm afraid to talk or chew because I feel like my teeth are just gnawing at my tongue.
Your tongue is swollen from
and
all
the inside of my cheeks too. I'm like, what have I done? It's like, well, it's not the same sensation like when you bite your cheek, the inside of your cheek, and then it's kind of swollen, and then you keep biting it over and over, and like it can take 2 weeks for that to heal.
Pure hell. Yes.
God, they need like a bite guard or like cheek guards or something for.
I actually have a bite guard because I grind my teeth at night. So my dentist custom made a bite guard for me. And so I wear it. But the problem is that because I have chipmunk cheeks, when the bite guard's in at night and I'm grinding on the bite guard instead, I'm grinding the side of my cheek. And so when I went to get it checked to see if it was fitting correctly, I go, yeah, but I'm biting the inside of my cheek. I've got like this line, like almost like a long line of soreness where I'm biting constantly overnight. And so I'm like, I don't want to wear the thing if it's going to leave this, essential sore from biting.
Yeah, really? Ow.
So anyway, he said, yeah, it's really common actually, because nobody's bite's perfect. When you bite side to side or whatever. He's like, and it ultimately your unconscious brain will retrain itself where you will stop doing that in the night. That's the whole point of a bite guard, is that your brain triggers and goes, oh, we can't do that anymore. And you can actually stop grinding and biting the side of your cheek with this thing in. And of course I didn't believe him, but it is true. It did work. I don't bite the inside of my cheek anymore, but
That's
it is weird.
So you wear it every night?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we're having sex, no. But
duh.
But the nights
unless you're doing like the ponytails and the plaid skirt,
right? But the
you're
night
like, I'm going to put in my bite guard.
Yeah, so like, let me take out my retainer. Gross. Stop.
That's like too young.
No, I can't do it. Just scroll right past that porn.
Well, you know what? Actually, at a certain age, don't you think that would lose its appeal? I mean,
yes.
You know how old you are. I mean, that's got to stop at some point.
Ask any man who has teenage daughters, and he will tell you the exact day that fantasy ends.
Okay, so
it doesn't happen.
There's this comedian, Bill Engvall.
Yeah,
he was like one of the.
God, he's old school.
Not the Four Horsemen. They were the freaking Rednecks tour or something like that. Right. And he said his wife was folding laundry and he walked past her, and on top of the basket was like a pair of lacy
thongs,
like sheer thong panties. And he picked these up. And he's like, wow, these are new. And she's just like, those are your daughters. And he's like, ah!
Yeah.
And he dropped them back in the basket.
It's true. So speaking of daughters, we actually went to the coast for a quick 24-hour trip with Mackenzie and Malia the other, just over on Monday. We went just for overnight. We were on our way home, and families have weird discussions on drives. I mean, it happens. Some weird shit happens, and all of a sudden you're talking about some strange thing. So
we've had so many conversations where we ended, okay, this stays in the car or in the house. Like, don't tell other people we talk about things like this. They might get the wrong idea about us.
We were in the car, and Malia goes, yeah, I was having some conversations with my friend about the movie The Purge. And I assume you know what The Purge is, right?
I've never seen it because I think the idea is terrible. Kind of like the Saw movies. I don't get it. I think it's too horrific.
The Purge's premise is that every year America has a 12-hour period from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. where you can do any crime you want and not face any kind of consequences. And the movie is based on people who decide to murder and rape and rob, just the most debased of the crimes that you can get away with. That's what they do. And in the car, we all agreed. We're like, I mean, that's fine, but there's a lot of other shit I'd rather do. If there was no consequences to crime, I would break into the bank. I would transfer funds. I would zero out my mortgage. I'd go and get a car. I would go raid the mall and get all the clothes and jewelry. I mean, there's a lot of funner stuff that I would do than murder people.
But you're assuming you can get from A to B without being pillaged and raped and murdered.
There are ways. Are you kidding? I'd freaking get a helicopter flight pilot to do it for me.
How? Oh, what, you think he's going to work that day?
Hell yeah, we're going to go in and take over. It's going to be amazing. So anyway, my point is that it's so narrow-minded to think that the only thing to do is to murder people that you don't like. Plus, you're going to do it in 1 year, and then what? Then what? You killed all your enemies. What's left?
You can do any crime. Yeah. So maybe you just lock them up in a barn somewhere or strap them to a table and slowly slit them to death for the next 20 years and let mice feed on them and, put fly larvae on them.
But you can't. You only have 12 hours. If you get caught.
But that's what I'm saying. You do that in the 12 hours and then a year later you come back and you do some more.
Yeah, but you can't leave them there. That's a crime. That's not how that
crime
works.
You commit that day.
Yeah, I know, but you have to let them go.
But then why?
Because it's a crime. On an hour 13, you would be committing a crime.
Why? Because
you're keeping them hostage. You can't do that.
No, because I did it during the time frame.
No, there's no carryover.
You cannot prove that.
The
because
crime has to begin and end.
At the 13th hour, I've done nothing.
Yeah, except that they're being held hostage in a barn, injured, and it wasn't on their own. It wasn't on their own.
At the 13th hour, they are strapped to a table in a barn.
Yeah, against their will. That's called kidnapping.
Okay, but when they got there, it was during the free time.
It doesn't carry over. There are rules to this purge. You can't just
disagree.
do that. Well, there is. I hate to tell you.
I would do it Seven style. I would take Polaroids every day and slowly starve them to death, but give them enough food to keep living.
So Paula, basically what you're saying is that you want to be a psychopathic murderer and torturer for 12 months out of the year.
Psychopaths are born that way, and they literally have no conscience, no feelings, no nothing. They just are crazy. Sociopaths are different. They're narcissistic. They can be smart. They can be, hold down jobs. They can walk among us.
Okay, I really don't understand. Okay, you're going down a really dark road right now. I was just telling you that we would actually have a big party and wear expensive clothes and pay off our mortgage. That is basically what our idea of the purge is, because we're not criminals.
And meanwhile, all across the country, I would have people strapped in barns.
Yes, and you would not get away with it. But that's okay. You do you, boo. You do you. All right? I will back you up. I'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. She's fine. She was with us at the party.
The barn table killer.
Yes, you would be. Absolutely. And then when they got you in jail, when they took your mugshot, they'd be like, this is impossible. She didn't do this. You get away with it because you're a pretty white girl.
And you know what? The jury would have reasonable doubt.
They would, especially if you...
Because they'd be like, there's no way a woman, a mother of two, lovely children,
Yeah.
The father is in the military.
Oh, God.
There's absolutely no way that she could commit such horrific crimes. This is definitely something a man would do.
If they interview me, they're like, is it possible that she could do any of this? I'm like, absolutely not. Never.
There's no way.
Never. Okay, so Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel had a baby. Did you know that?
I know, right?
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute.
That. You know what? I just don't care. So.
I know we don't care, but my point is I read that and I went, Last year, he was fucking around with his co-star, and now he's welcomed another child. I'm like,
she got pregnant literally around the time that happened.
This is the make good baby that says, if you're going to be an asshole, I want my children, so give me the baby. And
isn't that terrible?
No, I mean that's marriage, baby. I mean,
no, I've never had to negotiate anything for my children. I mean, that's terrible.
Well, I'm just saying either that or they had a really great makeup sex night and she got pregnant is probably what happened. This is the baby that's going to save their marriage, Paula. Come on.
Yeah, it's going to save their marriage for 2 more years.
Until she gets another one, okay?
But that happened like a month ago.
I read it today and I went, oh shit, Justin Timberlake's got another baby? I had no idea. Also, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner had their baby over the weekend, a little girl named Willa.
Oh, they finally released the gender and the name.
I thought in the Hollywood world, if a celebrity already had the name for their child, you couldn't do it. So like Willa is Demi Moore's child. I didn't know that you could do that. I thought there was like only once, like you claimed it and that's it. You're not allowed to take the name. You had to come up with something else.
Well, I mean, Willa is probably the same age as Sophie Turner for F's sake. So,
well, that is true.
But you know what? I've noticed there's a trend recently where people are literally naming their children like the oldest women's name out there.
Yes.
Like,
and they're doing it for boys too. Yeah, boys and girls.
There was like a name out there I heard the other day, and I'm like, why would you? Oh, Olivia has this girl in her class. Her name's Evelyn. And I'm like, Evelyn.
I know someone named Evelyn. I know. Well, they name her.
Well, we both know someone named Evelyn. We used to go to church with her, and that's all I think about is whenever she talks about. She's like, so today in school, Evelyn did this, and I'm just like, all I think about is you know who. And well, then that's the other thing too is I'm just like, whoever looked at their baby and said, I know what we're going to name her. Her name is Deborah. You know, it's just like,
I met a baby named Deborah yesterday.
Or they're just like, her name is Deborah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know what? Usually those are family names. It's like, my great-grandmother was named Deborah, and so I will carry on that tradition. You know, that happens.
I don't know about you, but we were pretty solid with Ryan. We were going to name him Christian.
Oh, I like Christian.
Yeah, we loved it. And then with Olivia, we had 5 names. I think it was like Kaylee, Julia, Rachel, Victor really liked Chloe, which I hated. But what happened is that with Ryan, for I don't know what it was, but literally like by like 30 weeks, I'm just like, I hate the name Christian. Like, I hate it. Like, we cannot name him that. So we completely flipped and changed our mind. Or I did. Victor was like devastated.
Oh,
and then
he was devastated.
Well, because he just was like so hooked on the, like once you tell a guy something that, you know, it's gospel, then they're just like, wait, I just had this built in my mind.
You know, I was thinking hilariously, I think we've discussed this in the past, but when our parents named us, our father is the one who named me.
You were supposed to be Randy, weren't you?
If I was a boy, my name was going to be Randy. And I can't even with it. But then when it was going to be a girl, he's like, well, we could still name her Randy. I'm like, you cannot. And Mom's all, I refuse. That will not be happening. So I got Jamie instead. Thank God, because I can't imagine being named Randy. Oh, can you imagine?
No. Yeah, because Paula is fantastic.
Mom named you Paula.
Yeah, because I was supposed to be a boy and they were going to name me Paul. So they got real creative and added an A.
First of all, I think Paula is really unique. I don't know anybody named Paula. I'm very few
Paula
people.
I've ever seen, with the exception of Paula Dean, they're usually black.
Well, our mother's name is Marva, and she's the only white Marva I know.
I don't know another Marva.
I am the only Jamie female I know that spells it masculine. And everybody else I know has the cute spellings for Jamie, and mine is
What's a cute spelling?
Jaime or Jayme or something like that. And mine
Jaime is Jaime.
Well, that's the female way that most girls have. I had one friend in high school. It was Jami. And so whenever I would go,
I'd be like, you forgot the E.
Whenever I would go, we were really good friends too, which was awesome. We were actually cheerleaders together. So I would be in class every day, first day of school for 12 years solid, James Campos, every single year. And I'm looking around going, well, I guess that's me, because, but I go, but it's not James, it's Jamie. But it happened every year.
I don't think they knew what to make up. No, actually, by the time I was going to school, I just told the kids this story the other day. They're just like, Campos. Do you have a sister? I'm like,
God, which one?
I said, it depends. And they're just like,
it's true.
They're just like, I had a Stephanie Campos in my class. I'm like, no, I
no relation.
I said, no, I don't know her. And he just kind of started, the teachers would start laughing.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, I had a Jamie Campos. I'm like, yes, that's my older sister.
That's my big sister. Yeah, I know. That's hilarious. Yeah, she did really good here, except for math. She did terrible.
I would claim you, but Stephanie and Allison, I didn't know them.
You're like, who? What? No. They're the campus on the other side of town. I don't know them. Anyway, so back to this last week, we decided to take the girls for just a quick overnight trip to Sonoma Coast, Bodega Bay area. And it was because, first of all, it was going to be 100. And we were like sick of the heat, sick of dealing with our weak ass AC. And I just, we're like, we need a break. So Tyler watched the house for us, my son. We took off. And we stayed. We didn't want to stay here, but it's the Inn at the Tides. It's the one hotel that's been around for just 100 years. But they're cheap and they have clean rooms. And now with the coronavirus thing, the rooms are just pristine.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really clean, simple rooms. And we had a great view. But I don't know how I'm going to effectively tell you the story without going too long, so I'm going to try to come up with it. Daryl and I, we got them their own room. They were next to us. It wasn't adjoining, but they had their own rooms, and then we had our own room. So we walk into our room. It's king bed, and I immediately have been in this room before. I know I've been in this room before because it was the room of the last night that I spent with my son's father. When I was 19.
Oh my God.
I walked in and immediately went, this room is cursed. I mean, I knew it. I walked in and said, holy shit, I've been in this room before. And so I didn't say anything because I'm like, I don't want to put a weirdness on I don't want to do any. I don't want Daryl to feel weird about it.
I'd be like, oh my God, honey, I fucked somebody in this room.
Exactly. And so I walk in and I immediately became difficult. I was in a bad mood, not outwardly to anybody, but I was just like, oh God.
He
darkness.
knows you so well. I'm sure he was like, what? You don't like the room? And you're like, no, I actually don't.
So I didn't say anything. I thought, well,
you're probably like, smells the same. He's like, what?
So actually it does because of the headboard. But anyway, because the headboard's leather.
You're like, oh, the headboard's still squeaky.
The headboard still reeks of leather. So basically the reason that it was an ill-fated evening was back in the day, 19 years old, we had planned to go to Bodega Bay to celebrate some random anniversary. And we were going to stay at the Inn of the Tides. And he had gone around and asked our parents for permission to marry me. Ripe age of 19.
Oh.
He's older, a little older. So we're getting ready to leave and he's literally sweating. And it's like, I don't know, the fall. And I said, what's wrong with you? He goes, nothing, let's go. And I'm like, whoa. Are you going to propose to me in Bodega Bay? And he's like, well, I and of course, because nobody can pull anything over, no secret. Men can't pull any kind of secret. Well, and
you never can allow someone to have a secret. You always have to be like, are you going to propose? What are you doing? Don't be stupid.
And so he said, well, I was, yeah. And I said, don't. And he said, why? I go, because I'll say no. And he goes,
oh my God.
He goes, what? And I said, yeah, I don't want to get married. And he's like, wait a minute. And he's like, we have the ring. I've asked your parents. I go, you included my parents in this plan? And he said, well, yeah. And I said, okay.
Of course. I mean, that's the right thing to do. You're like, you were almost insulted. You talked to my parents?
Yeah. I go, you spoke to my father? And so I said, yeah, I don't want to.
Dad's probably like, I don't give a fuck. Go ahead.
No, Dad, anyway. So I said, yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I would say no to this. And so he, of course, was like shocked, absolutely shocked. I said, I am 19 years old. I don't want to get married. That's crazy. I don't want to. And so he was obviously very upset. Not to mention, he'd been fucking around for who knows how long. So I don't know why the hell he thought he wanted to put a ring on it. That's dumb. Maybe because he's like, hey, she'll let me get away with anything. She doesn't even know. So we ultimately decided to go as like a final hurrah. Because obviously we were not going to stay together because I wasn't interested in getting married and he clearly was on the path to trying to find someone and get married. So we went to this ill-fated hotel room in Bodega Bay where we proceeded to have sex and he was going down on me and fell asleep in between my legs.
Was he drunk?
No. And I was like, hello? And it hadn't been like an hour, by the way. I want you to know. I mean, it was like we had just got it going. And so I pushed him off of me and I said, well, I'm stuck here because we drove with one car. And so we left the next day and I didn't see him again until I was, 20, like a year later, where we foolishly, I think he wanted to make up for it. And so we had sex and I got pregnant. So anyway, that's the room that we walked into with my husband of 23 years.
Crazy.
We did have sex. It was nothing outrageous, but it was better than the last time I was there.
Well, sure.
I don't remember when I told him. I think we were on the beach and I told him and he was like, oh my God. And I said, I know, I'm so sorry. I said, but hey, the room's not cursed. You didn't fall asleep. So that's good. It worked out. And let me tell you, having a guy fall asleep in between your legs is something you do not get over. That is a hit to your ego that stays with you for life.
See, I don't think that would be a hit to your ego. I think that would just mean like you had some drunk pass out between your legs. I mean, he had to have been drunk.
I hope so. I mean, I'm not going back to ask, but
no, but I'm just saying, like, you know how he was. He liked his beer.
He did. It's true. He could have been. You're right. But anyway, it was terrible, and I'm glad it's over. And the room was much better, but the room is cursed, and I will never stay in it again. So because of COVID, if they would prefer you order room service than go to the restaurants or whatever because they're trying to minimize crowds. So we decided to order room service in the morning. In the paper that they give you, it says staff are not allowed to enter your room when you're there. So you will have to be prepared to accept everything at the door. That's just, and we don't do turn down service. We don't change sheets, nothing until you leave. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, okay, cool. So we ordered room service for both of the rooms and I'm laying in bed naked because I sleep naked. And so I'm laying in bed naked with my phone and I'm just kind of looking at, and luckily I had the sheets over my boobs because normally I don't. Mm-hmm. And so I'm sitting there, I'm looking at my phone and I'm just like, la, 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 la. And the room service comes in, dude blows right in and brings this huge tray of food for both rooms. And Daryl is like trying to chase him because he knows I'm in bed just laying there with no clothes on. And he walks right in and I look at Daryl, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, I don't know. I thought they weren't allowed to come in. I don't know. And I'm like, holy shit. So he sets the stuff down right in front of me because there's nowhere to put it because the table's covered with other stuff. Finally, Daryl goes, I think we should sign this outside. And I was like, what is happening? I have never, Paula, in the millions of times I've ordered room service, never had to deal with a staff member coming in with me in bed naked, ever.
I mean, I have been in the bed before and I was nude, but I think what I did is I slid under the covers and I kind of like made myself look like
you were part of the sheets,
like floppy, because you know how like they yes. usually have like the down comforters.
Yeah. So
I just made myself look like, like I was a flattened part of the messed up duvet cover or whatever.
Right.
And I stayed under there until they left. The guy probably knew I was under there.
I'm sure.
He's probably just, you can only imagine the things that
oh my
seen.
God, I know.
And probably like some weird Europeans that answer the door with their giant dongs hanging out. They're like, oh, come in, and
please,
like
welcome.
Some hairy ass. And they're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But I told Daryl, I said, I got the same feeling. I go, you ever have those dreams where you're the only one undressed and people are walking around you normal and you're just sit there you're woefully nude and you have that weird feeling of embarrassment? That's what it felt like. I felt so embarrassed. I was like, what? Yes, I was embarrassed. I was naked. I'm like, I'm naked under here. It's like, what do you do? Just wait for the painfully long 15 seconds to end? It was horrible.
See, the problem with those dreams is that I am usually arguing with someone And then they start like snickering. And I'm like, what is so funny? And then I kind of look down and I don't have a shirt on.
Oh my God. Oh, that's
And
horrible.
I'm just like, I'm like, why am I standing here topless? and I just was like literally chewing their ass out. And I'm just
no.
And I just feel like an idiot.
Yes.
And so I don't know what that dream means. I haven't had that one in a long time. But
I haven't either.
That's the only ones where I'm naked.
It was mortifying. So anyway, we leave the hotel. All is well. We decide to go to the beach. And the beach is amazing. So we're sitting there and we're having a good time. The four of us just talking, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I hear this, help, help. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And I go, did someone just yell help? And the whole beach, and there was not that many people at the beach, but there were enough where everybody stopped talking. And I've never heard it so eerily quiet before. We were all looking for who yelled for help. The problem was there was a ton of surfers. So we couldn't tell if it was a surfer with a shark incident or if it was, because there's sharks right now, or what. We couldn't figure it out. And so we're scanning the ocean, the shore, and we're looking to see if there's anybody like waving their arms or anything like that. And then all of a sudden we hear it again. And this guy comes running towards us, and he look above us is where people are parked. He goes, Ted, there's somebody who can't get out of the riptide. I was like, oh shit. So the Sonoma coastline, they have big, huge signs that say, there's a riptide here. This is how you do it. This is how you get out of it. You have to swim parallel with the shoreline to get to a place where the waves don't hit. And then you swim up. It's a really uncomfortable way to deal with it because your instinct is to swim towards shore, but the riptide will keep pulling you out further and further if you do that. It's something they teach lifeguards and stuff. And so Malia and Mackenzie get up and run towards the beach. And I follow them with a towel because I'm like, well, I mean, these are my children now that are going to get involved and I don't want them to, drown because somebody's insane. So we run over there and nobody is helping. Everybody's standing on the shore. No one will go in.
They probably don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So the girls are ready to get in. And then suddenly, right before we hit the shoreline, a surfer comes in and grabs them. And now there's like 5 people and they're pushing them in on the surfboard so they can get to the shoreline. There was a kid and his dad. The kid was boogie boarding and he got too far out. And the dad had jumped in to get him, and he was the one yelling. So the mom is holding the kid, and he's like, hey, when I yell help and wave at you? And she goes, yeah. He goes, that means we need fucking help. And she's like, I was calling 911. And the kid is like hysterical. And I hand the lady the towel because he's like purple. He's terrified. And so, and cold. And I said, hey, my daughters are lifeguards. Do you want them to take a look at him? And she's like, no, we've got this. Not even thinking about the pandemic. Like at all, I mean, I didn't get too close to her or anything and we were outside, but still she was thinking, don't come any closer, because we're in the middle of a pandemic. I completely forgot. So during a state of, emergency, first of all, I was very proud of the girls for just running over there like it was nothing. They were going in. They're like, yeah, we're going to go in. We know how to do this. We've done it a million times, So I'm like, well, okay. So luckily they didn't have to do that. So we all left. Coast Guard showed up, of course, because she did call 911, and so they dealt with it. We're like, holy shit, it's a hell of a day at sea, sir, So we were like all amped about it. We were all like laughing and stuff because as I'm running, and I actually am fine, but I had been eating some bread, and so a crumb went down the wrong pipe, and I almost
I hate that.
I almost asphyxiated myself as I'm running down the beach, and
so
I was
you
like,
almost drowned to death by bread.
Like, can you imagine? So we laughed about that. But anyway,
sounds like something that happened to us, though.
I know. And then 10 minutes later, Paula, a huge pod of dolphins showed up, and they were jumping out of the water, giving us a show. We were stoked. The whole beach was like, what is happening today? It was like the weirdest day ever at the beach. So anyway, so that happened. And then Daryl and I we went for a quick walk and he brought his fishing pole because he's never gets to fish at the ocean. He thought it would be fun. And there were a couple of other people fishing offline on the shore. So he was doing the cast. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So he goes, oh, you want to do it? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I've fished before. It's not that I'm not opposed to fishing. I just don't want to do the camping thing. So I'm casting and I pulled out a sand crab. I was like, hey, I caught something. But we get back and we're sitting down, we're chilling, and suddenly I have to pee really bad. And the bathrooms are all closed because of the pandemic. And so I said, well, what are you supposed to do if you have to pee here? And he's like, you don't? And I said, no, we're peeing. So he created, because we've been watching so much Alone, he created a shelter so that I might pee behind a rock, so that I can go.
I usually just find like a series of rocks and try and find a crevasse.
We found a crevasse.
Just,
Yes.
I'll have Olivia or Victor stand in front of me and, make a scene while I pop a squat and,
yes.
try and pee. Try not to pee on my pants.
Oh, my God.
Make sure they're poured out far enough, and then make sure my feet are wide enough so I don't pee on my shoes.
I hate it more than anything in the world. My whole life I've hated peeing outside just randomly. So I did it. Mackenzie did it first, and then I did it. And boy, do you feel exposed. It is, I don't give a shit if you have a shelter or not. You feel like anyone can see you anywhere. Not to mention, like, straight above you, people are parked, and if they peeked over, they'd see you peeing and see your big ass hanging out, trying not to get wet.
They wouldn't see my big ass. They'd see my flat ass.
They'd be like,
what is that? What is that, a waterfall?
Yeah. So, anyway, it was a really fun day, though. So, there you go. That was our trip. But it was fun. I mean, it was just nice to get away. And honestly, we haven't had the luxury of having any kids with us because they all live lives. So the fact that they were actually willing to go was pretty cool.
That is cool.
They're super great. I mean, it was fun. So anyway, that's what we did. There's a couple more things I want to talk about. We're running out of time. So let's quickly do our Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. I have chosen Scariest Things That Weren't So Scary edition. First one, speaking of scary movies like The Purge, this person said, I watched the movie The Conjuring. Okay, The Conjuring is terrifying, first of all.
I don't watch anything supernatural.
Okay, well, I've seen enough of it to know that it's terrifying. It's one of those movies that's so scary, it's got like brilliant movie reviews because everybody's like, oh no, this is a scary movie, and it's good. Anyways, it says, the night I watched the movie The Conjuring, I woke up to my bed shaking and all of my clothes hanging in my closet rattling and falling off the rack. It took me many minutes to realize it was an earthquake and not the devil.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Hey, that would be scary. Okay, here's the second one. My boyfriend was out of town and I heard a voice in the middle of the night. My dogs woke up and were barking. I heard the voice again. It was a woman with an English accent.
Oh my God.
I grabbed my gun and I started looking in my house thinking, oh my God, I'm about to kill somebody right now. And as I approached the hallway, I realized the carbon monoxide detector talks to you when the battery is low. And that's the voice she heard. And she goes, it scared the shit out of me.
Oh my God.
I would have shot that alarm. I would have shot it. I'd been like, nope, done. No more talking.
Mine just beeps. And that's the problem with like at my house, we have like 5 alarms and we have like really tall ceilings, like the extra tall ceiling. I don't know what these things are, like 10 feet, 12 feet. I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
And they always go off when Victor's not home.
Of course.
And so and it's always at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, why?
I don't know.
So I'm in the middle of the night, usually in like some sort of t-shirt or nightgown or something, in the garage, bringing in the ladder, trying to figure it out. So I unplug it and then I put it on the couch and I'm like, oh, I'll deal with it in the morning. I get back in bed. 2 minutes later, it starts beeping again. And I'm like, what the fuck did
I hate
I didn't realize there's a battery that you have to take out.
Yes. And here's the other thing. Everything is starting to die. All of the fire alarms and carbon monoxide detectors we have. And really, it seems that they want you to purchase the ones that talk. And I told Daryl, no, I'm not doing it. I will
never own anything that talks. That's why I don't want one of those things, the echoes or whatever they're called.
We have one. Actually, we had one in our room forever, and I legit ripped it out. I said, I don't want it in here anymore. I don't want this stuff in my house. We still have one downstairs. I hate it, but Daryl uses it. So, what are you going to do? But anyway. So, yeah, those are the Ugly and Awkward Moments of the week. One final thing before we say goodbye. The Emmy nominations came out. And when I was reading everything, I went, it's so funny. Paula watches none of these shows. She doesn't watch anything on here at all. Even the reality. Okay, well, you probably watched the reality series, the nominees for reality competitions.
What was it?
The Masked Singer, Nailed It, RuPaul's Drag Race,
No.
Top Chef, and The Voice.
Yeah, Olivia likes The Masked Singer, so we'll watch it sometimes.
Ugh, I hate it.
And we don't really watch Nailed It anymore. So
I don't either. I watched the Christmas edition. I went, you know what? This is kind of losing its appeal to me.
Well,
I mean, I like her.
How many times can you watch people make bad stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I like her, but it's starting to get, it's repetitive. After a while you go, yeah, I've seen it. I keep waiting for that show Alone to do it, and it doesn't. I love it. I was a little surprised Alone didn't get a nod. I thought it would, but it's been on for 7 seasons and it still hasn't. So I don't think they're going to, which is too bad because it's really, really compelling. Looking at the list here, I don't see anybody who didn't deserve the nom. Actually, honestly, I don't think Michael Douglas should have been nominated for an Emmy personally. The Kaminsky Method was really good, but I think there were things that were better.
Yeah.
But everything, I mean, overall, I mean, there was some snubs that people were like, what about Better Call Saul? Why are these people, why didn't they get it? But I mean, that happens every award season. So,
everybody has an opinion. But...
Yes. But there are some that I'm looking forward to. I mean, Schitt's Creek got nominated. What We Do in the Shadows finally got a nomination, and they are brilliant.
Schitt's Creek got nominated? I thought that show had been over for a long time.
Well, because it's Canadian. And also, it didn't go viral until it hit Netflix. And now suddenly everybody's like, oh my God, it's so great, But it was on TV for 6 years. And it's just been the last year that people have finally recognized the brilliance of it. I'm really glad they got nominated. I'm super happy about that.
Ryan really liked the show Ozarks. Or Ozark.
Ozark is, God, that's dark. Yeah. Jason Bateman got nominated for Best Actor in a Drama for that.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't watch it. I
don't like it.
I was watching, Overcast every day.
It's all in blue.
Get past that.
It's very blue. And then it also got nominated for Outstanding Drama, which is great. The Crown, The Mandalorian, which is super good. Stranger Things, Succession, The Handmaid's Tale. So over The Handmaid's Tale, guys.
I never even heard anything about it. I mean, I've heard of it, but I mean, I don't even know what it is, and okay. I don't care.
So you can look up the list yourself. All very, very, I think, overall great nominations. But I mean, like I said, Kaminsky Method, and then Marvelous Mrs. Maisel wasn't that great. Season 3, gotta say, I just didn't think it was all that good.
Everybody was just gaga for that show last year, and I never saw it once, and I honestly I wasn't interested. It looks dumb.
No, it's not dumb at all. The first 2 seasons are brilliant. The 3rd season, I'm like, I got bored. I literally stopped watching after like episode 3 because I'm like, I'm over it. It's like this. She's famous now or what? I don't know. And it just wasn't. But the first 2 seasons were amazing. So I mean, they deserve the accolades they got then. But I'm like, really? Why are we giving her that? I mean, no offense, but. I don't know. So anyway, oh my God. Speaking of, this happened back in 2017, but somehow it's going viral again. A baby in Vietnam was born in 2017 holding his mother's IUD. Isn't that insane?
That's like so, what is the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
It's like so
ironic?
Not ironic, but it's like an FU to the mom, basically.
Basically, the IUD failed. She got pregnant, and he came blowing out with it, holding it in his hand, like, ha, 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 ha. I thought that was I saw the pictures. It's legit.
Yeah, what are those things called? Like when you say it's a jumbo shrimp or like a...
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like irony, right?
The stupid... No, it's not ironic, though. It's like, damn it. I've been losing my words lately. I don't know what it is.
Well, maybe you need to sleep.
Jumbo shrimp. No, I don't want a recipe. What is that called?
Don't know. I wish I did know.
Urban Dictionary. What the hell?
You're not gonna. You're just gonna get some like, oh, this is what people call penises. Everything's a penis on the Urban Dictionary, by the way.
First, you must have a chode to complete the jumbo shrimp, approximately an 8-inch circumference.
See,
is that a sex position?
Maybe. I'll have to look
wait a minute. Obtain a shrimp cocktail, but this isn't your regular shrimp cocktail. Fill the glass. Never mind.
Stop.
Oh my God. Don't look that up.
I'm not going to. You're the one that looks up everything. Oh, oxymoron.
Oxymoron.
It's an oxymoron. Yes, the IUD with the baby. It's an oxymoron. Absolutely.
Thank you for telling me that. That was.
I don't want to know about cups full of sperm. Thank you.
Oh no, it wasn't sperm.
Oh, was it poo?
No.
What else is there?
They said fill it with menstrual blood and then have condoms hanging out the sides.
Wow.
Used condoms hanging
there
out the
is
sides.
No way in hell that's real.
I guess those are jumbo shrimps.
That's disgusting.
Oh, many of these are so disgusting. Like one night we were bored. And so Victor and I looked up like every like name we've ever heard of in a movie to like, you know, they're just like, oh, I'll give her the old Cleveland steamer, you know? And so like we looked up all the ones that we've heard of in movies, but we didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And like, they're real, like in the Urban Dictionary. But I'm like, there's no person on the planet that would ever do something like this.
Well, I've heard of I know of guys who have pooped in the top of toilets.
That's not the same. The Cleveland steamer is where a girl defecates on the chest of a man and then rubs her butt all over it.
Oh, there's absolutely people who've done that.
That's disgusting. How can you incorporate poop in sex?
Well, because people don't ever leave the butt phase of their growth. It happens.
Well, I mean, I get that part, but I mean the poop?
Yes, Paula. Yes. I hate to tell you. I hate to break it to you. There are people who incorporate feces into sex.
That's disgusting.
I know. Anyway. All right. Well, that's all I have for today, you oxymoron.
Did you just call me a moron?
No, I called you an oxymoron, you jumbo shrimp.
Okay, so funny story really quickly.
Yes.
I don't know how we got on the subject, but I don't know if we even talked about this on air, so I'll have to be careful. But I was telling Victor about the cheerleader meeting you went to the one time and how there was the girl that was challenged and she tried to kiss you on the lips.
Yes.
Did we talk about that on air before?
Yes. Years ago when it happened.
And I had said that, I'm like, well, did she have a handler? And then Stephanie got so offended and she's like, a handler? And she's like, that's so rude. And I'm like, it's not though. I said, if you have a child that's prone to walking up to strangers and kissing them on the mouth, I'm like, you really should have someone with them constantly, you know, to make sure that they don't do things like that.
Right.
And I said, I'm like, even at the kids' school, the kids that, you know, have struggled with, you know, paying attention in class or sitting still and everything like that. I'm like, they have student aids. So Ryan was in his bedroom and then all of a sudden we heard him laughing.
That's funny. Student aids.
I'm like, that's not what I meant. I'm like, you know what I meant.
Living dead, deafening silence, seriously funny. Those are all oxymorons.
Oh,
silent scream. Yes. Student aids.
Yeah, student aids. What else is there besides jumbo shrimp? I don't know.
Small crowd. Big baby. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have for today.
Big baby?
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
That's considered an oxymoron.
Yeah. So, well, I hope everyone is not getting too stir crazy. We have been doing Mad Libs to stay busy. We do categories. One thing that we did, actually, this was really funny. If you have kids at like, you know, teenage-ish, like 10 to, you know, up, we downloaded this app. It's a soundboard app, but it's got like all the TikTok and YouTube memes. You know how they, like the guy that he's like, oh, something came in the mail for you today. He's like, what was it? He's all, D's nuts. And so
right.
You've heard that one before, right?
Yeah.
So we downloaded it because we go to YouTube and we'll play like the Disney trivia. They'll start with like a song and then the first one person to buzz in who knows the song wins basically. So we'll keep track of points.
Right.
So the kids love doing that. Ryan is so damn competitive. But anyways.
I wonder where he gets it.
So we decided to download soundboards because, you know, everyone was just shouting. And we're like, no, we need something official, like a buzzer or something. So we did that. But then they were all so funny. We mostly just sat there and like played all the different soundboards. So you should download something like that. It's really funny.
Okay.
And then one more thing. I pay more attention to Ryan and Olivia now because they're becoming very like sister brother, like closer.
Sure.
Ryan made soup and sandwich for lunch the other day. And then he went into the kitchen and got a bag of chips and came back in. And Olivia was like, God, Ryan, are you enjoying your feast?
Jeez.
And I'm like, I'm like, don't be mean to your brother. I'm like,
funny.
he has a bag of chips and a soup and sandwich. Like she was implying like he was pigging out or something.
Yes.
Anyways.
It's funny.
All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your week. We will see you on Sunday. And stay safe. Use your mask. Don't be an idiot. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Bye.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.